they look incredibly muddy. That doesn't have a nice blend at all. Hey, so today I'm gonna be talking about how to blend orange and blue eyeshadow, okay? I did complementary colors. I don't know, whatever, I'll link it somewhere. The video where I talk about that, my first video. And I know a lot of you wanted to see blue and orange, so we're gonna get right into it. There are obviously like a million different shades of blue, a million different shades of orange. Like there's just a lot of different directions that you can go in. You can have a more red orange or a more yellow orange, or you can have a more green blue or more purple blue. The palette that I'm gonna be using today is the Impressionism palette by Musée Beauty. Musée Beauty. I'm gonna be using this shade right here and the shade right here, which in my opinion are going to be easier to get to as far as blending. In fact, this palette is really good for this. I will pop the color wheel up as a reference, but I will refer you to my other video, which will be linked down below at the end of this video or in a card right here, where I talk about complementary colors and opposites on the color wheel and how to blend, blah, 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 whatever. Just a basic color wheel is gonna work just fine for this, okay? So don't get overwhelmed by all these like color nerds. No shade, but a little bit of shade. So I wanted to use this palette as an example really quick so that we can talk a little bit more about color. So in my opinion, this blue right here, if I was gonna be mixing this blue to this orange, this blue is much closer to, in my opinion, to a green than it is to a purple. And this orange is a lot closer to a yellow than it would be to a red. So if I wanted to blend these two colors to finally get here, if I went towards the purples, it would take purple, it would take red, and more shades of those colors, more like transition through those colors to finally get to that orange. For instance, I could use like blue, purple, red, pink, orange, something along those lines. So when I'm looking at this palette, I would say this blue is like pretty smack dab in the middle of blue. Like it's definitely not quite as purpley blue as this. And also this orange is kind of like not as bright. It's a little bit more of a mid-toned orange in my opinion, maybe leaning a little bit further towards like red than yellow, but it's like pretty smack dab in the middle. Now, the nice thing about this palette is that we have this beautiful color, which is like a perfect in-between of purple and red, which would be like between these guys, right? So this is something that I'm gonna be using to blend those two colors together. So first I wanna show you the wrong way to do it. And I'm going to be using those colors from the Culture palette by Juvia's Place. I already primed my eyes with my About Face eye primer. So while I'm loading up this blue, I'd like to reiterate quickly that mixing complementary colors, opposite colors on the color wheel, is going to create a gross brown or gray, gray if you're lucky, because those colors, when you mix them, will cancel them out. So I just blended this blue all over my eye. Okay, and now the wrong thing to do would be to go in immediately with this orange shade, which is what we're gonna do. Ew. That looks so gross. This almost looks, I think this looks worse than the purple and yellow that I did. You see how gross that looks? It's not cute, man. It's no good. This is bad. It's a bad jump between colors. Okay, so if you get this muddy thing and you're like, ugh, I hate this, now I'm gonna show you the right way to do it. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna pick up Almond, this color right here. And I'm gonna pat this all over my lid. Okay, so now before moving on immediately to the orange color, Dancers, I am going to go in with a smaller blending brush. So I used the Rephr 01 brush. Now I'm gonna be going in with the Rephr 14 brush, which is this nice little detailed one. And I'm gonna be picking up this shade right here. Now I'm going to use this as the connector between the blue and that orange. So you can kind of see as we go around the blue, it kind of like blends in to create that nice purple color. You don't need to go in with too much of this if you don't want it to be a predominant shade. Why do I keep using that word? Prominent, whatever. Going back in with a little bit of that blue because I want it to be one of the main colors. Buffing it into that pretty color, that pretty like magenta or whatever you want to call it. Now using another small blending brush from Rougher, this is the 13. I'm gonna pick up Dancers. You can see that really pretty gradient that we created. I'm just gonna make sure that I'm slowly building up that orange so that I'm not accidentally mixing it with that blue, which is one of the reasons that small blending brushes are so imperative in my opinion. If you're serious about eyeshadow, like if you're a serious makeup enthusiast, then I highly recommend. So obviously you can see a huge difference here. We have this beautiful gradient. The colors look vibrant, but they're not bleeding and looking muddy. You can see that they're just like bleeding. They look incredibly muddy. That doesn't have a nice blend at all. So just that difference of picking the correct colors, not only to put next to each other, like I think this orange and this blue are much more flattering together, but picking a nice in-between color makes a huge difference. You get that beautiful gradient blend. All right guys, so I finished off my lower lash line. I didn't put any blue on there. This is the finished look that I did. It's pretty basic, but I just wanted to show it to you with mascara and stuff. All right guys, I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you want to see I'm pretty sure somebody asked for red and green. I said that I hate doing that because it reminds me of Christmas, but maybe the challenge could be to do it and make it not look like Christmas. But yeah, anyway, if you didn't see my previous video, it would probably answer a lot of questions if you still have them. And I show you how to blend purple and yellow. So that's it. Hope this was helpful. Bye.